Hi, I would like to give you all a brief introduction to biological molecules. Now, if you look at an elephant, a redwood tree, or a giraffe, you'll see a lot of differences exist between these organisms that make each of these organisms unique. But in spite of these differences, there are similarities in their cells and how they function. Now, one such similarity being the presence of biological molecules. Now, there are 4 types of biological molecules. We have lipids, carbohydrates, proteins, and nucleic acids. So first, let's take a look at lipids. There are a variety of lipids present in our cells with varied functions. Some lipids are present in the plasma membrane, and they help to maintain the structure and fluidity of membranes. Lipids function to synthesize hormones as well as to generate energy. Lipids are made in our cells through various processes, and we also consume lipids in our diet. For example, if you look at any food label, you'll see presence of fats and cholesterol in that food package, and these fats and cholesterol are nothing but lipids. Moving on to proteins. Proteins exist in cells as long chains called polymers. And these polymers are made up of individual components referred to as monomers. And these monomers in proteins are amino acids. There are 20 different types of amino acids that make up proteins. For example, you may have heard of tryptophan or glutamine. These are types of amino acids. And different combinations of these amino acids make for different types of proteins with unique shapes and unique functions. Proteins are made in our cells, and we also consume proteins through our diet. For example, beans, milk, eggs, etc. are good source of proteins. Now let's move on to carbohydrates. There are different types of carbohydrates present in our cells, and some of these carbohydrates exist again as long chains or polymers. For example, starch, that's a polymer made up of individual monomers, glucose. Carbohydrates have a range of functions in our cells, including energy generation. Carbohydrates are made in cells, and we also can consume these through our diet. For example, lactose in milk is a carbohydrate, as is starch that we eat in potatoes. Moving on then to nucleic acids. There are 2 types of nucleic acids, DNA and RNA, and these 2 exist in our cells as polymers. And these are made up of individual components which are referred to as nucleotides. There are 4 types of nucleotides, and different combinations of these make up the nucleic acids. Now, DNA is the seat of all information in our cells. DNA carries the genes. DNA makes us who we are. So information then in the DNA is transmitted to RNA. Information from RNA is used to form proteins. Proteins in our cells are then used for all the processes. For example, proteins are used then to make carbohydrates, proteins are used to make lipids. They're also used to make other proteins as well as DNA and RNA. So you see, a cell then is a little factory where things are getting made all the time. These biological molecules are getting synthesized as needed, and they're used for different functions of the cell. So having a very good understanding of each of these biological molecules at this stage will help you get a better understanding of how a cell functions and ultimately how an organism functions.